Hello, friends. Welcome to Adventures in Dixieland. We are in Bible study. This time I started the video myself. The creator felt I was taking too much time to get to this point. We are in the book of Mark. Yes, I know people have a problem with the NIV. This is just the first one we're reading. We're going to compare it to other Bibles when we get to reading the other Bibles. It'll just be in different years because it takes a long time. You can read the whole Bible in 1 year, but it does mean reading about 3 or 4 chapters a day. Old Testament and New Testament, because we're not just focusing on one part of the Bible. Just right now. Next year it's going to be all Old Testament and Psalms and no New Testament at all that I'm reading to you because they're all from the NIV, all already be up there. And then in 2026, we'll start fresh. And we'll probably even have a different format. Maybe we'll be doing Old Testament and New Testament and Psalms all in one day. Who knows? We'll see how that works. But for right now, we are in the book of Mark. We are in chapter 5, and we are starting at verse 21, and we are going to verse 43. But it's all one parable. A dead girl and a sick woman. Verse 21. When Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue rulers named Jairus came there. That's how I pronounce it, Jairus. Seeing Jesus, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. This kid's dying. I'd go with him too. A large crowd followed. Sorry there, I got interrupted. I had a phone call that I had to take because it was, for work. So the guy is pleading for his daughter's life. "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her and she will be healed and leave." So Jesus went with him, like I said, as I would. Right? A large crowd followed and pressed around him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. So ladies, that means she had her menstrual cycle for 12 straight years. Wow. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and spent all she had. So she was trying to find solutions and couldn't find one. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. Probably because they had no idea what they were doing, and when they thought they were helping her, they were probably making it worse. Not because they were malicious, just lack of understanding of anything medical at that time. So somebody else was trying to interrupt, but no to that person. I don't even know who they are. Verse 27, when she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately, her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she had been freed from her suffering. It's amazing. At once, Jesus realized that power had gone out of him. She didn't ask for permission. You got to ask for permission before you touch somebody, even their clothes, on any level, even him. He turned around in the crowd, because he could feel it, and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciple answered. "Yes, yet you ask, who touched me?" Because it's not the same thing as them crowding around them. It's not the same thing as taking somebody's energy. They can feel it when you take their energy. But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, trembling with fear, and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." While Jesus was still speaking, some men came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue ruler. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Ignoring what they said, Jesus told the synagogue ruler, "Don't be afraid. Just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue ruler, so this means Mark was not present for this. Of course, Mark is not saying he's present for any of this. He is writing it down. Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." They laughed at him. Now, in this culture, there were professional mourners, where this is what they got paid for. To cry and lament and, help people mourn their dead. And after he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him and went in where the child was. He took her by her hand and said to her, Talitha koum. Talitha koum, which means little girl, I say to you, get up. Immediately, the girl stood up and walked around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this and told them to give her something to eat. Okay? So, they thought she was dead, and she was dead until Jesus decided she wasn't dead anymore. And along the way, somebody had such faith that when they touched him, he was healed. But he could feel it. So remember, you might not think people are paying any attention or absorbing or noticing what you're saying or doing around them, because they might not be reacting to you in that moment. But that doesn't mean whatever you're doing with your energy doesn't have an impact. And it doesn't mean that it's something they necessarily asked for your energy to do. If that doesn't make any sense to you, that is the equivalent of me saying, be careful how you talk to people when you're talking to them, because your words mean something, and you could be hurting people you don't even realize by not being careful with what you say or do.